Picture a dusty Sunday afternoon in West Texas, the sun dipping low over a white clapboard house where hymns still echo from the morning service at First Baptist, and the smell of barbecue drifts from the backyard. Caleb and Daniel Anderson, 18-year-old twins, sit on the porch swing, legs dangling, passing a warm bottle of root beer back and forth like they've done since they were kids. Their mirror images, sandy hair, freckled noses, the kind of boys who finish each other's sentences, who've been the Anderson twins to everyone in this small town since they could walk. Caleb's the quieter one, the thinker who'd rather sketch in the margins of his Bible than shout during youth group, while Daniel's the star, broad-shouldered, quarterback of the high school football team, the one their dad slaps on the back after every touchdown, the one their mom prays will lead the family name proud. They've been inseparable, from Sunday school crafts to late-night talks under the stars. Daniel always the protector, pulling Caleb out of fights with bigger kids, whispering, "We're a team, Cal, you and me against the world." But lately, Caleb's been carrying something heavy, a secret he's wrestled with for years, ever since he noticed his heart raced more for the boy in the pew ahead than the girls giggling in the choir. He's gay, has known it since he was 14, prayed it away in the dark of his room, begged God to fix him, but it's still there, steady and sure, and he can't hide it anymore. Not from Daniel, the one person he trusts most. Tonight, after the barbecue coals die down and their parents head inside, he turns to Daniel on that swing, takes a breath, says, "Dan, I've got to tell you something. I'm gay." The air goes still, the crickets loud in the silence, and he waits, expecting the arm around his shoulder, the grin, the "doesn't matter, you're still my brother" he's played in his head 100 times. But Daniel pulls back, stands up fast, the swing creaking, his face hardening, eyes narrowing like Caleb's just thrown a punch. "What?" he says, voice low, and Caleb repeats it. "I'm gay, Dan. I've always been." Daniel steps away, hands clenched. "No, you're not. You can't be. I can't have a brother like that. Not in this family, not in this town." Caleb stands too. "It's me, Dan," same as always. But Daniel cuts him off. "Don't come to Thanksgiving. Don't show your face around here. Don't embarrass me in front of everyone. Just go." The words hit like a slap, cold and final, and Caleb stares at him, waiting for a crack, a take-back, but Daniel turns, walks inside, slams the screen door shut. Their mom calls from the kitchen, "Boys, dishes!" But Caleb's already moving, grabs his jacket from the hall, slips out the front. No bag, no goodbye, just the crunch of gravel under his sneakers as he heads down the road. He doesn't look back, doesn't cry, just keeps walking. The brother he called Dan, fading into someone he doesn't know anymore. The divide starting right there on that porch, splitting them in two. If you've ever lost your closest ally just for being you, Caleb's story kicks off here. And it's only the start. So hit that like, share it with someone who's felt that sting, and subscribe to Heart Stories to see where he goes next. Tap the bell to stay with us. Caleb's 25 now, living in a studio apartment in Austin, 7 years since he left West Texas with nothing but the clothes on his back. He landed here after that night, took a job washing dishes at a taco joint near the Capitol, saved enough to rent this place, started night classes at a community college. He transferred to UT Austin later, studies medicine, spends his days in labs dissecting specimens, nights reviewing notes at a folding table by his bed. He picks up shifts at a bookstore, stacks novels, rings up customers, keeps a jar of coins for laundry. He's met people here, joins a running club that meets at dawn, sits with them after at a diner, swapping stories about races and work. He's been on dates, nothing heavy, shares beers with a guy named Ryan who teaches guitar, likes how he doesn't ask about family. Austin suits him, a city where he can run past Merles and bars without hearing whispers about sin. Back home, Daniel's made a name, played football at SMU, crushed it as a defensive end, now coaches a high school team outside San Antonio, drills kids on plays, wins trophies, gets quoted in papers about discipline and heart. Their parents pin his clippings to a corkboard, tell church friends he's their legacy, skip any talk of the other twin. Caleb's gone from their conversations. Not a word when the deacon asks about those Anderson boys. Not a photo left on the mantle where they used to stand side by side. 5 years ago, Daniel ties the knot, a wedding at a chapel near their hometown, pews full of players and locals, a reception with barbecue and a dance floor. Caleb hears about it from a guy he knew in school, gets a call. "Dan's married, man, big deal back there." He hangs up, walks to a gas station, buys a soda, sits on the curb, watches cars pass. He finds a clip online later. Daniel laughing with his bride, their dad raising a glass, no trace of the brother who used to share his room. Last spring, their aunt dies, the one who'd knit them scarves every winter. He learns it from a cashier at the bookstore, an old family acquaintance who says, "Saw your mom at the funeral, tough day." He nods, shelves a stack of paperbacks, takes his break outside, stares at the sidewalk, wonders why they didn't call, why they let her go into the ground without him. One night, he's at the diner with his running crew, flipping through a menu, when someone turns up the TV above the counter. Daniel's on post-game press. "Family's my rock," he says, standing with his wife, their parents nodding behind him, all smiles for the camera. Caleb pushes his plate away, drops cash on the table, walks home through the humid air, feels his pulse thump in his ears. He doesn't write them, doesn't show up at their gate, doesn't ask why. He's out of the picture. He keeps running, studies longer, spends Sundays at a shelter handing out blankets, chats with a man who sleeps on the street, listens to his jokes. Ryan sees him staring out the window some nights, asks what's up, and Caleb mutters, "Old stuff," leaves it there. He's got a life now, friends who don't flinch when he mentions a date, a path to being a doctor, but the quiet from home sticks to him, a weight he carries without naming it. He thinks about Daniel, wonders if he ever stops at a playbook, remembers the kid who'd cheer him on from the bleachers, wonders if he feels the space where they used to fit together. But there's nothing, no note, no sign, just a wall of silence growing thicker every season. Caleb unlocks his door, tosses his keys on the counter, sits on his couch, looks at the plant he waters every week, knows this is what it costs to live his truth, a cost they'll never share, a cost he bears alone for now. Caleb's 25, sitting at a folding table in his Austin apartment, 7 years since he last spoke to anyone from that West Texas house. He's deep into medical school now, spends mornings in classrooms at UT, afternoons shadowing doctors at a hospital downtown, evenings charting patient notes on his laptop. He's got a part-time gig teaching anatomy to undergrads, grades their quizzes on weekends, keeps a stack of textbooks by his couch. Tonight, he's marking papers at midnight, coffee gone cold, when his phone buzzes, a number from back home, 325 area code, one he hasn't seen since he walked out. He picks up, hears his mom's voice, cracked, uneven. "Caleb, it's Daniel. His kidneys are shutting down. He's got maybe a month without a transplant." He sets the pen down, leans back in his chair, feels his pulse jump. "Why me?" he asks, keeping it flat. And she says, "We've tested the family, friends. Nobody's a match. The doctor says you're his only chance. You're identical twins." He stares at the wall, the words sinking in, wants to cut the call, let it drop, but she adds, "Please, come to San Antonio. Just talk to them. See him." He stays quiet, hears her sniff, then says, "I'll think about it." Hangs up, sits there with the phone on the table, the clock ticking. Past 12, he thinks about Daniel, the brother who told him to stay away, the one who let their parents scrub him from their lives. Wonders why he should lift a finger now, after all that silence. He doesn't sleep, gets up at dawn, calls in sick to his TA shift, drives 3 hours to the hospital where Daniel's at, parks in the lot, sits in his car with the engine off, watches people walk in and out. He finally goes inside, takes the elevator to the ICU, finds his mom standing by a glass door, hair pulled back, face drawn, but he brushes past her nod, steps into the room. Daniel's there, stretched out on a bed, tubes in his arms, machines blinking beside him, skin pale, eyes sunken. Nothing like the guy who used to race him to the mailbox. Their mom leaves, shuts the door, and Caleb stands near the window, looks at his twin, says, "They say you're out of time." Daniel shifts, voice hoarse. "Yeah, that's what they tell me." Caleb waits, hands in his pockets, expects a plea, a sorry, something to bridge the gap. But Daniel just looks at him, says, "You don't owe me this. I get it. I don't deserve it. I'm not asking." Caleb steps closer. "You're damn right I don't owe you. Not after you told me to get lost. Not after you let them act like I'm dead. You don't get to need me now." Daniel stares at the blanket, doesn't reply, and Caleb keeps going. "But you owe yourself a shot at living, and I'm not here to play hero. I'm here so you'll wake up every day knowing it's because of me, the brother you threw away, the one you couldn't stand to look at." Daniel's eyes flick up. Damp, he nods once, doesn't argue, doesn't beg, just takes it, like he's got no fight left. Caleb turns, walks out, finds the doctor in the hall, a woman with glasses who pulls him aside, lays it out. "You're a perfect match, best odds we've got, but it's surgery. Risk for you too. Kidney's gone, recovery's months. Your choice." He listens, asks questions. What's his chance without it? She says, "Weeks, maybe less." He nods. "Give me 24 hours. Drives back to Austin, parks outside his place, sits on the steps, watches cars pass on the street. He calls his friend Mark, meets him at a taco stand, tells him, "My brother's dying, they need my kidney." He's never said sorry, not once. Mark eats a taco, listens, says, "You don't have to do it, but you're thinking about it, why?" Caleb picks at his food. "He's my twin, I don't know, it's not about him. It's about me, about not being the one who walks away this time." Mark nods. "That's enough reason if you want it to be." Caleb drives home, sits on his couch, stares at the ceiling, thinks about the years Daniel shut him out, the family that forgot him, the blood they can't change. By sunrise, he's made up his mind, not for Daniel, not for their mom, but for the piece of him that still remembers running through fields together, a tie he can't cut, even if it's the last thing he wants to hold on to. Caleb's 25, sitting in a hospital office in San Antonio, a day after he stood by Daniel's bed and decided to give him a kidney. He's with the transplant team now, meets Dr. Ellis, a coordinator who slides a stack of papers across the table, explains the procedure step by step, how they'll open him up, take the left kidney, sew him shut, how he'll need 6 weeks off his feet, maybe more. Caleb nods, flips through the forms, signs where she points, listens to her list risks, infection, bleeding, a life with one kidney ahead. She gets to the donor section, starts filling in his name, and he stops her. "Hold on, I've got a condition. Put this in the record word for word." She looks up, adjusts her glasses. "What do you mean?" He leans in, voice firm. "Write this, donor. Caleb Anderson, the brother the patient rejected due to his sexual orientation." Exact words, no changes, Dartar. "Ah, Sahas Song." Ellis pauses, taps her pen on the table. "We don't usually add statements like that. It's just name, date, relation." He shakes his head. "This isn't usual. This is my call. If I'm doing this, it's not anonymous. It's not quiet. They live with the why. Put it in or I don't sign." She frowns, says, "I'll need to check with legal ethics board too." Grabs her phone, steps out. Caleb sits back, stares at the chair across from him, thinks about Daniel telling him to stay away, their parents acting like he never existed, knows this is his way to make it real, to force the truth out where they can't hide it. Ellis returns 15 minutes later. "They're reviewing it, but it's your right to dictate the note. Might take a day." He nods, waits in the hall, flips through a magazine he doesn't read, hears footsteps, looks up to see his mom barreling toward him, purse swinging, face tight. She stops. "Caleb, what's this about the record? You can't do that. It's our business. It'll tear us apart in town." He stands, meets her eyes. "It's been your business to keep me out, Mom. You've all lived like I'm not here. If I'm saving him, it's not a secret anymore. This is the deal. Take it or I'm done." She raises her voice. "Think about Daniel. What people will say. The church. You're shaming us." He steps closer. "I've thought about him every day. You didn't. I've carried the shame you gave me. You don't get to tell me how this goes. It's my kidney, my rules." She stares, mouth open, turns, walks off, heels clicking down the hall. Dr. Ellis comes back an hour later. It's cleared, we'll add it. Sign here. Caleb takes the pen, writes his name, hands it over, drives back to Austin, packs a duffel for the surgery next week, calls his professor, arranges time off. 7 days pass, he's back in San Antonio, in a gown on a stretcher, nurses taping an IV to his arm, lights buzzing overhead. He sees Daniel roll by, their eyes lock for a moment. No nod, no words, just a look before doors swing shut. The drugs hit, he's out, surgeons cut, lift the kidney, move it to Daniel's table, stitch them both up, hours ticking by in the OR. It works, no complications. They wake in separate rooms, groggy, breathing. Caleb's up 2 days later, sits in a chair, sips water, feels the staples pull under his bandage, waits for discharge papers. Daniel's awake too, flips open his chart, scans the donor line, reads, Caleb Anderson, the brother the patient rejected due to his sexual orientation, stops, stares at it, runs a hand over his face, feels his throat catch, lets tears roll down, doesn't stop them. Their mom's there, peers over, sees it, starts to speak. Daniel, he didn't, but he holds up a hand, cuts her off, picks up the bedside phone, dials the nurse. Get my brother in here. She wheels Caleb in an hour later, parks him by the bed, shuts the door. Caleb rolls up, looks at Daniel, waits. Daniel shifts, voice scratchy. See, Cal, thank you. It's the first time in 7 years he's said that name. The one from when they'd chase fireflies, share a bunk, be two halves of one whole. Caleb nods. You're welcome, Dan. It's not a hug, not a fix, not the end of the hurt, but it's a start, a thread pulling them back, a truth etched where silence used to be, a name neither can erase now. Caleb's 26 now, walking through the halls of St. David's Hospital in Austin, a year since he gave Daniel his kidney and rolled out of that San Antonio recovery room. He's a resident here, wears a white coat with his name stitched on it, spends his shifts checking vitals, ordering labs, sitting with patients who tell him their stories. He's got a scar on his side, a line of staples healed over, feels it tug when he bends to tie his shoes, but it's part of him now, a mark he chose. He's back in his routine, lives in the same studio, runs with his club at sunrise, meets Ryan for coffees after work, keeps his plant alive on the sill. The surgery's behind him, 6 months off to heal, then straight into residency, no breaks, no trips home. He doesn't talk about Daniel much, doesn't call, doesn't visit, lets the moment they shared in that hospital room sit where it landed. Daniel's out there coaching again, back on the field with his team, whistle in hand, according to a nurse who saw him on a local broadcast. Their mom sent Caleb a card once, 3 months after the transplant, a note saying, he's doing well, thank you. No more, no less. He tucked it in a drawer, didn't write back, didn't need to. He's moved on, focuses on his patients, learns to spot a fever, adjust a drip, comfort a woman waiting for test results. But one night he's checking his email after a 12-hour shift, finds a message from Daniel, subject line blank, sent at 2 a.m. He opens it, reads one sentence. Told my players today, don't ever be ashamed of who you are. That's it. No greeting, no signature. Just those words glowing on the screen. Caleb stares at it, sets his laptop down, leans back on the couch, feels his chest tighten, not with anger, not with relief, just something heavy he can't name. He thinks about that porch 7 years ago, Daniel's voice telling him to go, the years of nothing, the chart he made them write. Caleb Anderson, the brother the patient rejected due to his sexual orientation. He thinks about the kidney inside Daniel now, pumping blood, keeping him alive, a piece of him that forced a truth they couldn't bury. He doesn't reply, doesn't call, just drags the email to a folder, labels it proof that we change, shuts the laptop, sits in the dark. He told a patient once, a man with a new stent, I chose kindness, not because they earned it, but because I deserve to live without hate eating me up. That's his line now, what he carries, why he gave what he did, why he walks away from that family without looking back. Daniel's email doesn't fix it, doesn't erase the silence, doesn't pull them into a hug, but it's a shift, a ripple, a sign that something stuck. that the lesson he etched in that chart lives on in his twin, in the kids Daniel coaches, in a way Caleb never expected. He gets up, pours water, drinks it slow, feels the scar pull, knows it's not just skin, it's the heart of what he's become. A doctor, a man who chose to cease, not to spite, but to free himself. The screen fades on him, stepping into the hospital the next day, coat on, stethoscope around his neck, ready to keep going, a life built from his own hands, not their judgment. So what's a choice you've made that set you free? Tell us below, we want to hear your truth. If Caleb's story hit you where it counts, please hit that like, share it with someone who's fought to be themselves, and subscribe to Heart Stories. We're here to tell these tales with you. Tap the bell, don't miss what's coming.